A review of CVF performance parts and Draggy hits? That's what today's video is all about.
Buckle up, Buttercup!
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm doing a review of all the CVF performance mods that I put on the two-door, plus I'm going to show some Draggy hits to see if we saw any performance gains. And just like always, these parts and all the parts you see are available on my website at 𝔽𝕠𝕝𝕝𝕠𝕝.com. I've been running these mods for a couple weeks now, so I feel like I can give a very honest and thorough review of the parts, so let's get started with the air intake. And here we have the CVF cold air intake. You can see this is a nice looking intake. I've really tried really hard to keep this clean even when I'm doing some off-road testing and stuff, so you should be proud of me. This thing still looks brand new even though it's been on for a couple weeks. Now there are a couple things I want to point out about this intake. After going off-road, I realized, you know what? Changing this filter is gonna kind of be a pain in the butt, and that's because you have to uninstall the entire system to just change the filter. That may not be a deal breaker for someone that doesn't go off-road. If you're just using this as a daily driver, it's not a big deal. You don't have to change your filter very often, but if you do go off-road, these things get dirty. You have to clean them, replace them. So for someone like me that goes off-road a lot, that is kind of a deal breaker for me. The other issue I've had with this intake is we've had an error code. About 24 hours after installation, I did pop a check engine light. This did surprise me. I wasn't expecting anything like that. I haven't really come across any issues with something like that with this intake. Now the error code that popped up was P04F0, which is something about the evap system being high. I can show you B-roll of that. I did record, that whole process. I did contact CVF with all the error code information to see if they ran across anything like this. They said they do get some error codes time to time. It's kind of a case-by-case basis, and they have this piece that should remedy the situation. So we installed it, and not even 48 hours later, we did pop that same check engine light and that same code. We're still working with CVF to try to figure out what the problem is and see if there is a remedy for the situation. This is not something that happens very often, so I feel like if you do get this intake, this is something that you probably are not going to experience, but I guess it's better for me to experience to try to find out the problem, solve the problem, so that way you don't have to worry about it. Moving on from the intake to the charge pipes. I think the charge pipes are a great addition to any Bronco. They're very affordable and you're gonna see performance gains and they look nice. The only thing I would say to keep in mind is if you like that blow-off sound and you wanna use a blow-off valve spacer, any of the blow-off valve spacers that we carry on the website at 𝔽𝕠𝕝𝕝𝕠𝕝.com, like the Buckle Up one, the Boomba one, does not work with these charge pipes. If you want that sound, you're gonna have to spend the extra to get an actual blow-off valve completely. So like a Turbo Smart or Go Fast Bits, that's gonna be compatible with something like this, but a spacer is not gonna be compatible. I wanna clarify that's not really a charge pipe issue, just specific with these CVF charge pipes. I've done AFE, Process West, a lot of other charge pipes. Just the tolerance with the blow-off valve spacers with these charge pipes, they're not compatible. Now let's move on to the intercooler. I've tested a ton of intercoolers and I really don't have anything negative to say about the CVF intercooler. I think it is a quality product and it's very affordable, which makes it a win-win for everyone. The only thing I want to point out is you cannot use your active shutters with this intercooler. That seems to be a common thing. I feel like the only intercooler that's compatible with the active shutters at this time is Cobb. Now for me, that's not a deal breaker at all because I take my active shutters off anyway. You just get more performance gains. Now let's go check out the rear and talk about the exhaust. I have a lot to say about this exhaust. First, the affordability is there. The quality is there. You have 3-inch stainless steel pipes. It's gonna last. You're gonna get performance gains. You've got options of black tips, silver tips. I love having options. I chose the black tips because that's just what I like. That's my flavor. I am gonna show a sound clip of the exhaust before I go any further, so let's check out the cold start. Now this comes to your preference. If you don't like drone, you don't like hearing a loud exhaust, then this one is for you. This is marginally louder than the stock exhaust. That may be a hooray go-to for a lot of you, but for me, I personally like hearing a little bit of rumble. When I press on the gas when I'm off-road or out on the highway, I want to hear that exhaust. You're not really going to hear that with this. You do have the dual muffler with this exhaust, so it's going to make it quieter. Along with that muffler, you have a completely different style and look of exhaust. You have the dual tips. You don't have that on the standard Bronco, so it looks good. But the one thing to keep in mind is since you do have this muffler and dual tip design, it is not a high clearance exhaust. So if you do go off-road a lot, you may run into issues with hitting this. Now that is kind of a deal breaker for me because you know I go off-road a lot and I do want to hear the sound. I don't want to have to worry about hitting the exhaust. But if you don't go off-road a lot, you're looking for a more quiet exhaust, a more stylish exhaust. This thing hits it on the head for price, affordability, and looks. Another thing to keep in mind with this dual design is that the tips do stick out a little bit further than the typical stock Bronco exhaust or any high clearance exhaust you would have. This sticks out a little bit and you can burn your leg. Don't ask me how I know. That does not sound like it would be a big deal, but for me, that is a big deal because I tow a lot, I have the jet skis connected, and I'm going in and out of the trunk cargo area to get towels, sunblock, or anything like that. Now, if you're not towing, you're gonna go into the cargo area in the middle area. You're not gonna have to worry about burning your leg. This is a great looking exhaust. I would consider keeping it if it was a more high clearance exhaust and maybe had a little bit more sound, but if that's what you want, then this is the exhaust for you. Now that the review of the parts are over with, we're going to talk about the Draggy numbers and the results that we saw. As you may know, I live in Florida, so we have summer every day of the year. Now, when we went to install the CVF products, it was kind of a cooler summer day, and we did the base Draggy hit before we put it all on, and then we installed everything, and then it started to rain. So then we had to do the Draggy hit with everything installed the next morning. And unfortunately, there's a huge temperature difference with that. And I've tried to find a time in the morning where the temperature would be similar to when we did the initial Draggy hit before installing everything, but it's just a really hot time in the summer right now. So we have about a 10-degree ambient temperature difference. That's the best I can do right now. This fall, I can go ahead and do everything over again, and I think we'd get more accurate Draggy hits to compare to the before of the CVF parts. The other thing I want to talk about is the air density, the DA in the Draggy. We have a 550 point spread, so it's a huge difference. That's going to affect these Draggy numbers. So let's get down to it. Before we installed the CVF parts, we had a 1.99 60 foot. After installation, we had a 2.0. Before, we had a 6.95 0 to 60. Now we have a 6.98. Before, we had a 9.54 in the 8th mile. However, after install, we had a 9.53. Now you may be like, oh, Krista, some of those numbers aren't even better. They're about the same. Well, that's because of the temperature difference and the air density. However, these numbers are showing me that it is working. We're not going to see those big gains right now just because of the air density and temperature difference, but I do believe that we're going to see even bigger gains once we can do a Draggy hit that's going to be more comparable to the temperature and air density of what we did the initial Draggy hit before we installed all these products. So hopefully this video gives you enough information to show you the performance side and review side of the CVF parts. If you guys are interested in these, I do carry them on the website at buckleupoffroad.com. I have a bunch of cool videos ahead, new parts to announce, so be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, guys, buckle up, Buttercup.
Buckle up.